Hi, if this is your first time here, welcome to my channel. Or if you're like me and you've been here before, welcome back. I'm Chaotic Curl, and actually for this week's video, we're going to be remaking the top that I'm wearing here. If you remember, this is the top that I made using the Dollar Tree yarn, which of course I'll make sure to link that video down below, but we're going to be making it with different yarn. I actually picked yarn up at the Hobby Lobby, and I'm gonna be making it with that yarn because I really want to see this top as a dress and in pink. So the yarn that I have is, again, from the Hobby Lobby. It's called Yarn Bee Soft Secret. It is a 100% acrylic yarn, and it takes a 5mm crochet hook. So this is going to be one of the colors that I'm using in soft pink, which my plan for this color, or for this version of the top, is going to be to make it color blocked. So I do have two more colors that I want to show you guys, but I'm going to be starting off with the soft pink for the top portion. So I'll be doing basically the bralette portion of the dress. That's going to cover my chest and strap as well as the back in this soft pink color. Then once this is done, I would be moving on to the pink in the same yarn, Yarn Bee Soft Secret. And the last color that I have is this beautiful purple lilac color. So I'm gonna have all three in the dress, just going from the soft pink to the lilac at the end. But I'm gonna be basically following the same pattern that I did for this top, except, like I said, since I'm going to be doing it color blocked, I'm not going to include the little squares that I have here. So this is just going to be solid pink, including the straps. And I did make sure to get ribbon as well from the Dollar Tree in pink, which I don't have it with me right now, but I'll make sure to show you guys it. I do have it in a beautiful pink color, just so that I can have not the straps. I'm going to make the straps out of yarn for this dress, but I am going to make sure to tie it, to have a tie back, just like I have on this top. And I'm gonna have the tie back closed with ribbon. So just one more look at this top here before we get started on the project in all pink. And just like I said, just like with this one, I'm gonna be using, well, did I? No, with this one, I used double crochet, but for the one that I'm gonna be making in this week's video, I'm gonna be using half double crochet for the top. And I am gonna do it the same way I did this top, where I'm gonna use a granny rectangle for the side and back panels of the top portion. And then from there, I'll just do, I'll do an increase here to get started on the skirt portion. So I'll make sure to do an increase, but of course I'm gonna show you guys everything once I get to that part. So let's get started on this dress. Okay, I just have one more thing before we can get started. I did make sure to measure myself, but again, like I said, I'm going to be doing it the same way that I did this top. So I'm going to do the front portion, the front panel alone, which would go from this edge of my body over to this edge, just so that I can cover the front portion only. And then I'll do the rectangle like I did here for the sides and for the back. Now, like I said, I did measure myself, so I have a measurement around my underbust of 28 inches. So I'm actually going to be making the front portion about 14 inches. And then for the back portion, I know I still have another 14 inches left to go. So what I'm actually going to do for the back portion is I'm going to leave it with a 2-inch gap in the back, just so that I can tie it closed. And since crochet is very stretchy, I'm hoping that it'll give that pretty little corseted V in the back before I get to the skirt portion. So if all goes well, you guys will be seeing that as well. But of course, I'll make sure to explain everything once I'm doing it and, getting into the process. But that's why you're not going to see me start this front panel going all the way around. It's just going to go 14 inches across. And then I'll do the granny rectangles to make sure I have that 2-inch gap in the back where I'll be tying it closed. But let's get started. Okay, so I am getting started on the front panel of the bodice, but I do just want to let you guys know of a quick change. I'm not going to be doing a half double crochet for the front. I'm actually going to be doing the Jasmin Stitch. So we're actually going to start by doing the puff stitch chain. So that's what you're seeing here now. I already did my slip stitch and I just chained one and I just extended the loop, and now I did the yarn over and I'm going back through that first stitch that we made, that first chain stitch. And we actually do this twice. So you yarn over and go pull the yarn through the loop once and then again twice. And here you see me doing it 3 times just to establish the puff stitch. And you don't want to forget to pinch the yarn before you pull everything through, because it does help to cement the stitch and to help it look finished. So from here, I am gonna pull the yarn through all of the loops, or I'm gonna try. I do get it through. And then we go back to the yarn that I had pinched, and we're just gonna pull the yarn through there to secure our stitch. And then we finish off with a single crochet at the top. So that's one puff stitch. So now I'm just gonna extend this loop again on my hook, yarn over and go back through the top of the last puff stitch that we did. And from here, it's just going to continue the same way. So like I said, yarn over, pull the yarn through the top of that last puff stitch, not the single crochet, and do it one more time, yarn over and pull the yarn through that loop. And then the last time, yarn over and pull through to complete the puff. Then we just again pinch the yarn, pull everything through all of the loops on my hook, and then we'll come back to that loop, or to the loop of yarn that I pinched, and we'll go through it again, pull the yarn through, and then complete it with a single crochet. And that's actually how we continue for the rest of the chain. So it's just repeating this until you get it to the length where you want it. But of course, as always, I did make sure to link below the video where I learned how to make the Jasmin stitch, just in case you guys need a little bit more instructions. You can learn from there as well. At this point, I've made it to the length that I need it to be. So now I'm actually going to turn and get started on that first row. So what you do here is it's going to be the same thing as we have done. You're going to extend the stitch and do that puff stitch. So again, it's going to be a yarn over and go through the stitch, pull up the loop, yarn over, go through the stitch, pull up the loop again, but you're only going to do it twice. Then you're going to actually go into the next stitch, as you saw there, and do the same thing, make your puff stitch. And you're going to go over a third stitch, and it's the same thing. You're only yarning over twice, so you should only be pulling the yarn through twice now. And again, like we have been doing, you're going to pinch the yarn and then pull yarn over and pull that loop through all of the stitches on your hook. It does get a little bit tougher, but at the same time, as you go doing it, you will get more used to pulling all of them through. So you'll be able to tell which loop is the one on your hook and which one is the one that you're trying to pass through. So I'm just going through all the loops on my hook, and then I'll come back to that same loop, to the amount of yarn that I've been pinching. I'm sorry, I still had a little bit stuck there, but I got it out. So again, I'm going to go back through that little bit of yarn that I pinched through and just yarn over, pull the loop through, and then complete the single crochet at the top of the puff stitch. And then we're going to lengthen the stitch. And actually that is our turning chain and our first puff. So now we lengthen the stitch again, like how we have, and we're going to create another puff, which again, you're going to go into the same loop for the second puff that as you did for the last one. So you're going to go right into that same one. So you are using the same space twice. And here you go. Just do the yarn overs twice so that you can get a pretty good size loop, but not too big. And you go into that third loop, just do the puff stitch again. And then again, don't forget to pinch the yarn. It's really important, or else it will get absorbed into the other petals. You'll just completely lose it. But here we go. You go through all the loops on the hook, like I said, And here you're gonna see that I almost lost it, but I made sure to yank it out just a little bit tougher there. Make sure you get a good grip on that little bit of yarn. And of course, pull through all of your loops, go back into that loop of yarn that you're pinching now, yarn over and pull through, and then complete the single crochet at the top of the puff stitch. And again, you're just going to continue this way until you make it to the end of your row. This is what the first row of puff stitches look like. As you can see, it is the right length. It does look a little big, but that's just a trick of the camera. So now to actually start the second row, or the third row in this case, counting the base row, you're gonna pull up your loop and we're gonna do that turning puff. So this was that first puff that we did in the first row. So you're gonna yarn over twice. So that's yarn over, pull the loop through, yarn over, pull the loop through to do the puff stitch. Pinch your yarn, pull through all the loops, and then do a single crochet at the top of the puff stitch. And now we can start with the petals. So this is actually the pattern that you're going to be continuing for the rest of the time, where you would do the turning puff, and then right on top of the turning puff, you're just going to go right in and get started on that first petal for the row. So again, it's at the top of the turning puff. You start your puff, you move into the stitch right at the base of that turning puff, and then the stitch or the space right next to it. So those are the three spaces you're going to be filling up. Again, that's the one at the top of the turning puff, the one at the base of the turning puff, and then the space right next to the turning puff. And again, you pinch your yarn at the end of all of your puff stitches being made. You pull the hook through all the loops on your hook, and then you go back through the yarn that you've pinched, and you complete that single crochet. I do like to tighten it up just so that the holes aren't super big in between my jasmine flowers, but that's basically what it's looking like, and that's what you're going to be doing for the rest of the pattern. So I'm just going to continue from here until I make it to the reduction side, and then of course I'll show you guys how to decrease in the jasmine stitch as well. As promised, I made it to the point where I'm ready to decrease, and I did mark where I wanted the decrease to go up to, but I don't make it that far. So how to decrease in the jasmine stitch is you're going to start the petals, but you're not going to do the turning puff. So in this case, we're just going to do 2 puffs, and like we start the puffs, I extend the loop, yarn over, pull through so I can get the yarn on it, yarn over and pull through. We do that twice, and then I go into the space right next to where I was. And again, we yarn over and pull through twice to make that puff stitch, pinch the yarn at the end and go through all of the loops on the hook, and then of course go back through that same loop, pull the yarn through and complete the puff stitch. So from here we continue the puff stitches like normal. So we're gonna extend the loop at the top of this puff stitch, go into that puff stitch with our 2 yarn overs, and then of course at the bottom of the flower in that space, the shared space, we do another 2 yarn overs, and then the next space over, it's 2 yarn overs, pinch the yarn, pull through all of the loops, and again just attach all of the petals or all the puff stitches through that yarn that we pinched to complete the stitch, and continue as normal. And when I say continue as normal, I do mean continue as normal. So you're just going to continue making your puff stitches all the way across the row as normal. You're not going to worry about reducing anything at the end of this row. When you do turn for the next row, you're just not going to add that turning puff chain, and just continue as normal that way. And I promise it does add the decrease. Okay, and after reducing the bodice for 3 rows, I did only do 3 rows, I just started doing single crochet all the way around wherever it was that I had finished. So at the top of every puff stitch, you do see that it looks kind of like a regular, you see the regular stitch top, I guess you would say, the V's from the regular stitches. So I just went under one layer of each one for inside the puff stitch, just to be able to anchor my single crochet. And then of course in the space I also did 1 single crochet, and I just continued that way all the way around the top. So I did go over the corners and everything, but yeah, I go all the way around the top with the single crochet, just so that I have a better basis, I guess, to sew everything into. So that is one thing I do. This is what the front panel looks like. As you can see, the flowers, I really like the way these here look with the tension just right. But now I'm going to make the squares, and there are the rectangles for the sides and the back. So I did make sure to do them at least 2 inches shorter, or an inch shorter on each one, just so that of course I'd have that 2-inch gap in the back. So the next step is to attach the rectangles. And so we finally have the finished front panel with its side and back panels attached as well. So that's what it's looking like. Now we get to the skirt. So excited. To get started on the skirt, what you're going to want to do is add 2 single crochet into each chain space at the bottom of the front and side panels that we made. And I'm actually going to show you guys how I'm going to fill in that space so that I can have the 2-inch gap in the back. So as you can see, there are no stitches for me to double crochet into. So what I'm actually going to do is create the chain stitches. We're actually going to be chaining right into that stitch that you see me pointing out. So I'm going to start off by doing it like if I was doing a double crochet. So I am going to yarn over and go through that stitch from the back, as you can see here. It's that little bottom loop of the stitch. We go right through it and then stop here. And what you're going to do is yarn over and pull through that first loop only. So now that we're through that first loop, we're going to stop again, and then we're going to yarn over, and we're actually going to finish the double crochet here. So we're going to yarn over, go through those first 2, yarn over again, and go through the next 2. Now, like I said, we're putting 2 double crochet into each stitch, so we're just going to yarn over, go right back into that stitch we just finished making, and yarn over again, and then work it like if it was a regular double crochet. So of course we're going to be yarning over and going through 2 loops, and then once again yarn over and go through 2 loops. And I'm just going to show you guys one more time how it is that I'm creating that extra stitch. But as you can see, I already have them a good amount looped together. I am just adding 5 stitches, so that's 10 double crochets to this space, and I do feel like it's enough to have the opening pretty open but not wide open. So here it is again. I yarned over like if I'm doing the double crochet, go right into the bottom loop of that chain stitch we created, yarn over again, and go through the first loop, the one closest to the head of the hook. Then we stop and we finish as if we were doing the double crochet normally. So we're going to yarn over, go through 2 stitches, and then yarn over and go through another 2 loops. Sorry about that. Then we just yarn over one more time and create that second double crochet, going back into the chain stitch we just created, and then going and yarning over going through 2 loops and 2 more loops to finish off that double crochet. And that's how I made it through the stitch. So now I'm just going to do it one more time and then I'll continue there. So this is basically how I attached one side to the other. I did end up cleaning this up just because I didn't really like the way that it looked after I did it this way. But what I basically did, and I did do it again the second way, but there is just a little difference. So I do go through the loop here, and then to attach it, of course, I bring over the other side. Now what I did do different was, instead of just going around the stitch like how I do here, I actually went into the stitch and just got the back loop or the back little leg of the stitch to implant my double crochet. And then of course I went back through and did the exact same thing again. So I went back through that little loop that you saw me just go through there, and then I also went through the back loop of the corner stitch on the other panel side, so it doesn't look all folded like that anymore. I definitely cleaned it up. It looks a lot better. But from here, now that everything is attached, you're just going to keep adding the 2 double crochet into each stitch, and after that in the next row it's just going to be 1 double crochet for every stitch, and you're just going to basically keep going like that to build out the skirt of the dress. Here is the first of many length checks. I just finished doing the increase row where it's 2 double crochet in each stitch. So now I'm actually going to get started on the rest of the skirt, just adding a double crochet into each stitch after that. Here is the next fit check. Now for this one, I'm actually looking to get the skirt down to my hips so that I can actually start with another increase. So I reached the point where the skirt is now at my hips. So, well, it's sitting and standing. It's now at my hips. So as you can see, it is long enough now. So I'm going to add an increase. And what I'm actually going to do is like when you're increasing in a circle. So I'm going to start with my single crochet chain right there, the stack single crochet for the turning chain. Then I'm going to do 1 double crochet in the next stitch. And then for this next stitch, I'm actually going to add 2 double crochets. So we're going to keep increasing that way. Every 3rd stitch, I'm going to put 2 double crochet. So as you can see here, I already did my 2. So now we do 1 double crochet in this stitch, 1 double crochet in the next stitch. And for that 3rd stitch, we're going to do 2 double crochet. So that's 1 double crochet, and there's my next one. And I'm just going to continue this way around the entire skirt until I reach the end. For this next row, we're going to be increasing in every 4th stitch. So that's 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, 3 double crochet, and now for this next stitch, the 4th stitch, we're going to do 2 double crochet. So that's 4 and 5 double crochet. So we go again, we do 3 double crochet in each stitch, in each of the next 3 stitch, and in that 4th stitch we do 2 double crochet, and that's going to be the same for the rest of this row. Okay, so here's my fit check after those 2 rows of increases, and I really do like the way it's looking. The length and the volume is perfect, so I'm just going to keep going from here, adding on to the skirt, because of course I'm not done building the length. So as you can see, for the rest of the rows, this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm actually going to be increasing at the beginning and at the end. So as you saw, I did have my turning chain ready to go, and now I'm just going to add another double crochet into that same stitch, and then double crochet in each stitch across, just 1 double crochet from here on out until you get to that last stitch, and then again you do 2 double crochet in that last one. In all honesty, I'm probably just going to keep trying it on, but this is another fit check. I finished that first ball of pink, so this is just showing you guys how far I was able to get on the skirt with just 2 balls of yarn. But of course I don't have straps yet, so it's a little slippery, but we're working up pretty good, and I'm loving the way it's looking so far. I'm really enjoying this process. This is just one more look at the project with just 1 skein of that pink yarn, but I do have more, and I'm going to keep going with this color. So this is my chance to show you guys what I meant about doing the 2 double crochet in that last stitch. That was my last stitch of the row. So I already did 1 double crochet. Now I just do that second one right into that same space. And then, as I'm known to do, I pass the stitches across. So I just go back into the top of my single crochet, stack single crochet turning chain. And I will, in that space, do 2 double crochet once again. So I'll do my stack single crochet turning chain first, and then I'll do a double crochet into that same space that I already passed the stitch through. So it's finally starting to look like a dress, or at least sitting down, but I do just want to point out how it sat in my lap before I added that second increase, just so you guys could kind of get an idea of the distance. But this is what the dress looks like. This is how far I was able to get for the skirt using that pink with just 2 skeins. And now I'm actually ready to add the purple, but of course I wanted to show you guys what it was looking like. So that was at the beginning, and this is what it looks like with a dress underneath, just so that there's no bulk from my t-shirt. Okay, so from here I'm actually going to attach the purple, and as you can see, I'll just be finishing the dress in purple, and then we'll make the straps for the top. So here we are, all finished with the pink. Okay, so I just finished my second to last skein of yarn in that lilac color that I'm working in now. So I'm just gonna attach the last ball. From each one so far, I've been getting about 7.5 rows. So this is literally the half row right now. So I'm just gonna finish this last skein, come back and show you guys what it's looking like. And then of course, we'll add the straps that are still missing. But this is what it looks like, almost done. Just a few more inches to go. Okay, so it's finished. I need to get started on the straps, but I just wanted to show you guys what the body of the dress was looking like since I was able to finish the skirt. I did get out as far as I was thinking because with that last ball of yarn, I was able to do 7 more rows. So in total, the purple portion has 15, but that's because for the last row, I did a row of single crochet all the way around the skirt, kind of like as a way to hem it off. So everything looks finished on the skirt. But this is the dress. And so now I'm gonna get working on the straps, and then once I'm done with those, I'll come back and show you guys what it's looking like. But for the straps, I'm just gonna do a simple half double crochet across the stitches that I've already marked here, as you can see from the safety pins on both sides. So I'm just gonna get to adding those straps, and then I'll come back and show you guys what the dress is looking like. All done. As promised, here is the finished dress. This is what it looks like as soon as I took it off of my hook. This is the front of the dress, and look at that beautiful bow in the back with a ribbon. It worked out perfectly. But I just want to thank you guys once again for joining me on this week's project. I hope you guys had just as much fun as I did. And of course, don't forget to check out my Instagram for more pictures of this dress. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. See you next week. Bye.